Welcome to the HTMA Success Practitioner's Corner, a special series in which Susan Cachay highlights the incredible work being done by graduates of the HTMA Success Practitioner Training Program.
Welcome, everybody. We're here with the HTMA Success Practitioners Corner series, and I'm here with one of our graduates, Maria, who's a psychoanalyst. Thank you for joining me today. This is really exciting, and it gives people an opportunity just to see what you're doing with HTMA and how you're using it. And one of the first questions I have is, how has HTMA shaped your approach to wellness? Because certainly I know that you have started working with some of your patients in a different way due to HTMA and mineral nutritional balancing.
Yes. Well, first of all, thanks a lot, Susan. I think it's a great opportunity to spread the word about the potential of mineral balancing in true healing and transformation. And in order to answer your question, I would like to give a bit of background about myself, because the reason why I started implementing mineral balancing in my practice has been for two main reasons. First of all, my personal health journey. I always thought I was a very healthy person because I was very active. I loved yoga, being outdoors, hiking, biking. I have always been a very active person, and I have like a very clean diet. Being this said, since I was young, I would always struggle with things like insomnia, hyperactivity, panic attacks. I would have very painful periods, and I was always skinny, but it was because once a week at least, I need to stop eating because I felt very full all the time, and people were always like, "You're skinny, you don't eat well." But I didn't have an eating disorder, I just couldn't eat. And then I have quite a successful life. I would say I achieve a lot. I live in London, I came very big corporates, but then all of a sudden, when I was being happy, I got very sick right before COVID. Like, I never thought someone could be sick. My whole body collapsed, terrible, very scary symptoms. I'm not going to go into details because we could be here for hours. But the truth is that, unfortunately, I would say that medical doctors and mainstream medicine failed me. The best they could do at that time was to give me like a list of very complex diseases that they seem to be incurable, and apparently you need to deal with them, like MCAS, POTS, chronic fatigue syndrome, SEERS, EDS. All this is very scary, and also I think you are given these labels once they don't know how to fix you. It's just to tell you something, but in reality they don't give you a solution. So since then, I tried every single way to get myself back to normal, from doing carnivore, vegetarian. I tried functional medicine to the point that I even studied functional medicine to try to fix myself. I tried naturopathy, everything that you can imagine. It was only when I started mineral balancing that I started to feel that things were shifting. For me, it was like absolutely unbelievable, because I was for almost 4 years being down to 4 foods. I couldn't eat anything else because my body would react like it was having an anaphylactic shock. And it was thanks to mineral balancing that I could start introducing foods. So for me, this was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. So because of that, I obviously continued. I was one of those very sensitive people who could only do maybe 1 CalMac every 3 days because I would be so hyperactive from it. But being patient, and obviously thanks to your support, I managed to tolerate little by little more supplements. And today, I can tell that I have been for almost a year in the program. I can finally feel like a normal person. I still have a lot of symptoms, like temperature dysregulation. I have maybe still some what I call bipolar symptoms, because I can go from being hyperactive to crashing. But I have recovered my life. At the moment, I do have symptoms. But before, I just thought I would die with those terrible symptoms, and my life was completely over. So because of that, I went into your course in HTMA Success. And now, thanks to all the knowledge that I have to mineral balancing, obviously for me, it's still early days. I have so much to learn. But looking back, maybe I wasn't so healthy as I always thought, because I already have clear symptoms of, for example, copper imbalance. That they were made way worse when they put me on the controlled birth pill to try to fix my period and my anxiety. So my body was ready for the perfect storm. You have like copper imbalance, and then you have a lot of stress. You are exposed to mold. You get a vaccine. You get COVID, and then yes, it's just too much for the body.
Yeah.
So for me, this is my life-changing story that thanks to now I see it like something positive, because I think I can help myself, but also other people with all that I have learned. On the other hand, being a psychoanalyst, one of the main criticisms that they do to psychoanalysis is that it takes a long time. And sometimes people, it's just that they have to be in psychoanalysis forever. And now with mineral balancing, I realized that it's so powerful because most of my patients, not to say all of them, they are very committed. Someone who starts psychoanalysis is well aware that it's a process, it's not going to be a magic pill. But despite their commitment, some of them are stuck with chronic symptoms like anxiety or panic attacks, or they feel fatigue or they are depressed. And now with mineral balancing, I can see how their biochemistry and their levels of minerals and the relation between them can definitely impact their psyche. So for me, it has been like, wow, what a tool to be able to finally help and offer some transformation and true healing to my patients.
Yes, and with a psychology counseling background myself, I totally agree.
I know.
It's amazing how the minerals and patterns can affect our emotions. The reverse is also true, but
Exactly.
definitely when you start shifting the patterns and the minerals and that, wow, can it ever make a difference and increase a person's awareness as well? And so you're incorporating it into your practice now and seeing good results, I guess.
So yes, for me, as I said, now maybe 90% of my patients, I have put them in the mineral balancing program.
Wonderful.
Most of them, they are quite open and they are ready to try new things because they have been with me for a long time. So as I said, my experience at the moment is still limited in time because I started with this quite recently, but I would say that my patients who have been on the program for 6-8 months, they all report to feel more grounded and safe, which to psychoanalysis is super important because people get a lot of crisis of anguish or anxiety, and you are touching topics that they are very sensitive for people, from the relationship they have with their partner, their jobs, their children, how they manage stress. Do they need to stop doing so much physical activity? So those are topics that only by themselves, addressing them and having to change them can create a lot of, let's say, is very uncertain. So you need to help them be more grounded. And just adding, for example, CalMag or some zinc to certain people can completely change their process. And they are shocked, because also I have to say, I am equally excited like you are about the power of mineral balancing, but it's so unknown, at least here. Well, I'm talking about the United Kingdom. Most of my patients are in London because I used to be based in London and now I am back and forth, and also Spain because by my accent you can tell I'm a Spanish, but people don't know about mineral balancing, and even myself, I am shocked that something so powerful is still so unknown.
I know. And so I think it's wonderful that a lot of us are trying to promote greater awareness. And I think that part of it being unknown is the fact that it is a longer term program. It's not something where you can just take a pill and that focuses on symptoms, right? We're focusing on the terrain of the body. But I agree. I think that, wow, it's so powerful that if more people knew about it, it could just be so transformational. And so what would you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned as you've been applying HTMA? I mean, I think you've touched on different points, but if you were to think about one thing that really stands out for you, what would that be?
For me, I would say, I think it's also quite a common sentence at the moment. The right tool at the wrong time can be the wrong tool. And again, I'm saying this in the context of I am introducing mineral balancing to people who are previously my patients, my psychoanalysis patients. So for these people, if it's a moment in therapy, we have this thing, maybe you are familiar with this reaction because you have this background in psychology, especially with the therapy is going well, the person can experience some resistance to healing. because, you know, transformation is quite difficult, and even the circle they have around is going to make it more difficult. So their wife, their boss at work, every time they try, they change, they are going to experience like some pushback from the people who know them. So if the patient is already in a, let's say, fragile point when he needs some safety, maybe adding a program like mineral balancing without them knowing a lot about it, understanding the process, knowing what can happen, can add too much uncertainty for that person at that time. And also, if you consider how sometimes people, obviously, if mineral balancing, unfortunately, there is not a lot of information out there. Some people that I have in my practice, the people who tend to be like in big jobs, you know, they are in a position of power, they are used to have everything under control. Seeing that maybe they need something they don't know well can put them in a very uncertain position, and they are going to look for certainty. So what do? They start to ask their doctors, the family doctor, they try to go online. And obviously the mainstream is going to tell them, even a psychiatrist, that what is this? This is not like scientifically proof. I wouldn't do that. What is the evidence? You know, so people trying to get more information because there is not the right information out there can make them maybe a bit feeling a bit unsafe. So I would say for me, that has been the learning. So the learning here is you need to educate people before maybe you put them in a program.
Right. Look at the whole picture. Yeah, that's really interesting. And what advice would you give to practitioners that are just starting to use HTMA?
Well, to practitioners and to everybody in general, I would say the sooner, I know it's a bit paradoxical with what I just said, that the right tool, but I would say, being that said, if you have the information and you have made the effort to research a bit about mineral balancing, or you have some chat with people who have been doing mineral balancing, the best you start, the better, because it's the best tool for prevention. It works super good when people, I find it so amazing when there are people who are just telling me, oh, I'm a bit fatigued, or, you know, I have this a bit insomnia, or maybe I have a bit of like a racing mind, and it's so easy to fix. But then if you get with more complex disease, like for example, mine, my biggest regret is like, oh my God, if only I knew this before, you know, all the pain, money, suffering that I would have saved. And the more you wait, the more layers of adaptation you have to peel. So of course it works and it's great. But if you can start sooner than later, I would say start as soon as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me today, Maria. And if anyone is interested in the HTMA Success, HTMA and Mineral-Nutritional Balancing Practitioner Training Program, you can look at in the description box below. And for information on how to contact Maria, you'll also find that there. And please subscribe so that you get future notifications of these sessions, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you very much. Bye.